Hey everybody, welcome back to your favorite Gundam podcast. This is Colony Drop, and my name is Isaac.
My name is Brian, and this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise. From the anime, to the movies, to the music, to the models, to the food, to the clothes, to the merchandise, to the news, Isaac.
That's absolutely right. Speaking of merchandise and news, today is a very special news update. Right, Brian?
That's right. We don't usually talk about news too much, Isaac. We usually record these things a few weeks in advance. But this last week and yesterday, some good news dropped that I think is really worthwhile, and I think we need to talk about it.
I mean, we definitely do. This is essentially a Gundam first, right? To my knowledge.
Well, do you count G-Savior, Isaac?
I don't know what that is. I don't know what you speak of. As far as I'm concerned, you're speaking Swahili. I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth.
That's right. So our first item to talk about is a new series called Gundam Build Real was announced. And it's a live-action series, the first ever, in Isaac's mind, since he has forgotten G-Savior.
What's that? That which must not be named. The Voldemort of Gundam.
Do you think there's like a G-Savior mark that the fans of G-Savior have, like tattooed on their body?
There can't be fans of G-Savior, though. There can't be. That's like an oxymoron, you know? That's like, I don't know. That's like describing like a square circle. It can't possibly exist. We can create the words, but the actual thing does not exist.
We did have one listener who wrote in that he said that he really liked G-Savior. I forget his or her name.
You know what?
But
I've done some sleuthing, and it had to be he was just trolling us. He or she was just pulling our leg, winding us up. There's no way. It was joking around. It was a joke from a jokester. That's the only explanation.
Do you think the G-Savior fans are the same fans of the Dual Gundam and of Quest Pariah?
Probably. And like, yeah, they have to be. You know, it's just wall to wall G-Savior. They have like their G-Savior forums where they talk about G-Savior theories. They only build G-Savior mobile suits. They follow the G-Savior actors on like their social media. Actually, no, I'll be nice. I'll be nice. You know, those G-Savior actors, they actually gave it their all. Yeah, you're just limited by like, I guess, the story, the animation, and just overall it not being Gundam enough, good enough.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a new live-action show called Gundam Build Real. It's a live-action series. It's being released in conjunction or part of what's called the Gunpla Link Project, which celebrates the 40th anniversary of Gunpla with sort of special kit releases. You know, there's been some metal ones and different, you know, things with different decos. Kind of all the special edition Gunpla that you'd expect. The summary that I read online is that it will tell the story of Team Bright, which is a bunch of high school friends who go through Gunpla battles. They have a pilot whose name is Hiro. Oh boy, right on the nose right away, Isaac.
Right.
We have the builder whose name is Takumi. We have the programmer whose name is Kentaro, and the communicator whose name is Taichi. And apparently they use, or at least they have used in the past, a real grade RX-78. Which they've named Nanahachi, or 7-8. And apparently their real grade RX-78 has like an enhanced bazooka.
So it's like it's ace up its sleeve, I guess.
Yeah. Apparently they have a fifth member who built the weapon. So that'd be kind of cool if, like, you know, one guy just builds the weapons. That's actually like a pretty good plot point, I think.
That's pretty interesting. We understand the weapon guy, but what would the other positions do, though? Okay, I know the builder would obviously build the mobile suit, but the programmer and the communicator, I'm a bit interested in what exactly the programmer is programming and what the communicator would be communicating. I mean, is the communicator like, I don't know, like a spotter almost? Like while the pilot's actually in the mobile suit, like the communicator would maybe have like a more sort of map view of the whole situation?
Could be, yeah. Yeah, maybe we should talk about how the battles go down in this show.
Do it.
So the description says that the teams initiate Gunpla battles by scanning their Gunpla and then having drones project the Gunplas in like life size. And then the team controls the projections by wearing these goggles.
Yeah.
So basically think like you're controlling drone projections with goggles. So as far as what would the communicator do, when I read it, I was thinking like Mikhail from 8th MS team.
Oh.
Something like that.
Huh. Interesting.
But that would make sense with more pilots. If you only have one pilot, I don't really know what he's going to tell him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like... Oh, okay. Maybe
Yeah.
okay. Maybe it's essentially like the coach in the corner of like a boxing match, almost like you can yell.
Yeah.
You can yell things to the boxer that maybe he's not noticing or he's forgetting. Like, you know, you
Right.
haven't used like, you know, your, I don't know, your knee missiles or something like that, right? You know, use your knee missiles, or, you know, watch out. I think he's like charging up now that the moon's visible or something. If he's fighting like, I don't know, a Gundam X or something like that, right? Or
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
the communicator can relay stuff that other team members are saying. You know, like maybe the weapons experts like saying you only have one shot left, and you know the something or whatever, or hey, I think the targeting's off, or I don't know, something. And the communicator can relay that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree. So Hero is the pilot. We've got the builder. That's self-explanatory. The programmer, though, yeah, I'm not sure. Wouldn't they all be using standard equipment? Like, are you responsible for programming your own goggles?
Well, let's think about what we actually saw in the very brief trailer. Like for all our listeners, if you're listening right now, I think this was a 15-second trailer.
Yeah, there's not much to
literally.
go on.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. And like there was also a title. So it shows us, I wouldn't say next to nothing, but very little. We see like, you know, Japanese teenagers, high school students, and this is all live action, by the way. We see like 2 frames of them building a mobile suit, right? Like they show like the actual parts. We see 2 of them put on the goggles, and by the way, these goggles look a lot like those virtual reality goggles that people use nowadays. You know, like Samsung sells them, and there's Oculus. Those
like
kinds
the
of
Oculus. Yeah.
those kinds of kind of heads up, kind of blocky, almost visor type goggles. These aren't like, you know, very small advanced goggles or anything like that. But anyways, they put them on, and then end credits. That was the end of this little 15-second trailer. They didn't even show us like if we're going to be viewing a hologram of the mobile suits fighting, or if they're going to put on like the goggles and then it switches to animation or CGI. Who knows? But yeah, that was it. So maybe the programmer does deal a lot with the actual computer they're playing, or maybe it's like you bring your own computer to each fight, and that's kind of, I don't know, determines your lag or anything like that.
Yeah, or maybe he programs like the moves of the Gundam somehow. Like maybe you can, you know, maybe that's how you gain an advantage. You program your Gundam to move better than another one or something.
Interesting.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like they had the goggles on, but they're playing with the controller, some type of controller too, right? So maybe the programmer's like, okay, here are the moves I put into the system for you.
Interesting.
Lots of questions.
Yeah, but our questions will be answered very soon, Isaac, because this show premieres on March 29th, which is this coming Monday.
Yikes.
So I guess we'll find out. But the same day that you listen to this episode, if you listen to it on the first day, the show's already going to be on the air. So hopefully someone subs it, or I don't know if they're going to release it on YouTube or whatever with subtitles. I actually didn't. Did you see that anywhere in the announcement, Isaac, where this thing is airing? Is it airing on TV or is it on YouTube? Or
No, I don't
actually know.
I would assume, since this is about a high school, Japanese high school, it will be aired in Japan, where almost all Gundam content is exclusively aired originally. So we won't find out about it. If we're lucky, we'll find some early snippets on YouTube, but this will not be showing up on March 29th on Netflix or Hulu or anything like that. So don't be optimistic, but don't be overly optimistic.
I got to be honest, when I first saw this in my news feed and I read live action Gunpla show, my heart skipped a beat because I thought they were finally revealing more about the live action film.
Uh-huh.
And my immediate thought was that the live action film was going to be about Gunpla, and I was shocked. But then it turned out to be this series, and I felt a sigh of relief come over me.
Good. I mean,
Yeah.
what would the show about Gunpla be, though? Well, no, that's too much conjecture. We have no idea.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, if I was a fan in Japan, I'd think I'd watch it. I'd program my TV or whatever, or, you know, whatever streaming services they have over there, and I think I'd be interested in at least seeing, how the first few episodes go.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, we're gonna watch it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna watch it, but we're gonna watch it.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Maybe we'll find allies on like a Japanese forum or something.
So Isaac, what are your hopes for this show?
First, I hope it's successful because Gundam success is kind of a win for all Gundam fans, even if you're not too big a fan of a series, because that means more Gundam's going to be coming. But I'd hope that it becomes something that's, I guess, successful as a live action on its own. And by that I mean we can see maybe more content that's live action. For all I know, this is training reels for more live action movies or things of that nature. They want to see how this sort of bridge type content will work, where it's kind of the real world and they're high school students, but it kind of bridges over into, actual Gundams fighting, actual science fiction. So that's what I'm hoping for. How about yourself?
Yeah, I agree. I hope it's successful, and I hope it's like a fun show. I got the sense that it's not going to take itself too seriously. I hope it doesn't. This might sound dumb, but I hope it doesn't like embarrass itself. I think that goes along with being successful, right? But I hope it doesn't just like totally crash and burn.
Yeah.
I hope there's at least part of the fandom that really enjoys this show, so that, like you said, maybe we get something more like this in the future.
I mean, it sounds pretty interesting in that it's going to be very Gunpla based. It's not going to be Build Fighters Try, but it looks like it's going to be relatable for very much for modeling type fans. So they'll be able to look at this, enjoy it, and be like, yeah, I'd build it like that. Or, oh, interesting, he used that weapon. And all right, let's see how the actual battle plays out. I mean, I really wish the trailer showed us a lot more. It was almost, it definitely was too sparse. They really should have showed us combat and, what the actual view was inside these goggles. But maybe they're waiting for the big reveal.
I kind of had the same thought, but then I realized that it's coming out so soon. Maybe they thought there was no reason to have a full trailer. Because, we're just going to find out in 2 days. So
I guess.
It was so brief, and I could only find one article about this on that website Hypebeast for the first day or two, to where I wasn't actually sure that it was real.
You thought it was fan made. I mean, it looks a little fan made, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little worried. I didn't want to not that people are depending on us for their news, but I didn't want to tweet about it and then have it be fake, or someone's school project or something. But now it's on all the normal news sources, so it is real. It's coming out. Should be fun. But I do have a question for you, Isaac.
Uh-oh.
A sort of a existential question about this show.
Whoa. Okay.
It's sort of a two-part question. If this show is successful, would you want more of this sort of meta show where it's a Gundam show about Gundam, right? Because it involves Gunpla.
Right.
And if you just stick to the Gunpla things, the main ones at least, this will now be the fifth Gunpla related show, right? You had Gundam Build Fighters Try, Build Divers, and Build Divers Re-Rise. This is now a fifth Gunpla based show. Are those shows taking up too much space from a real series, or do we want more of these meta self-referential shows? How do we feel about that?
I wouldn't say it's taking up space, but if I really enjoy it, then I'm going to want to see more. If I don't, then I'm going to say, okay, pump the brakes. Why are we putting our budget here? Shouldn't Sunrise focus on, if they're going to do a live action, then why don't we do a UC live action thing or something like that, something we all want to see? Why waste your time with something that's so almost niche? But I really have to see it to make a final judgment. If it's the start of a lot of Gunpla type shows where it's almost the action figure, buy this now, order this one so you can play with it too, type shows, I might be a little bit hesitant to support it, I guess. I wouldn't be too happy to see more of it then at that case. But hopefully that's not what happens.
Okay. So I'd put you in the camp where it's project independent, right? If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I definitely want them to try new things, right? You don't just want them to always put out another 50 episode show about a Gundam in a ship that travels around, right? You want them to mix it up always. But then, I do worry that, for example, Build Divers and Re-Rise, I think, have come out since Iron Blooded Orphans, and we haven't had a full Gundam show other than those since then, and it doesn't sound like one's on the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I would like them to pivot back to like another longer running show as well. So I do think there's a danger there, but I don't think we're reaching that level yet. This is an interesting thing. Like, I guess I'm just asking, how much is too much of your own? It's kind of like Disney making movies about its rides.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much is too much of buy-in to yourself?
Right. I mean, it's uncharted territory too. We're not sure if other fans that maybe aren't teenagers or something will want to actually see the show or enjoy it. Maybe it'll be too much of a out of the ballpark, I guess, for them. Not really people's wheelhouse. But I hope that the Gundam combat and footage is great. I don't know how much of this show will be devoted to watching people put together a model. I'm not sure that's something that a lot of fans will appreciate, especially ones that don't enjoy Gundam for the models.
What if it was just a high schooler's live stream of them putting together a real grade R78?
I think like people would definitely skip to like the finished product and be like, oh, okay, that's what it looks like. I mean, you should essentially do like a fast forward like GIF. Like it should essentially be like a recipe GIF, where they show like the ingredients and then it's slowly forming, and then at the end you're like, oh, okay, of course that's how like the double fudge brownies look. So in that case, I think it would be the same for Gundam. There's a time limit for how much we can watch somebody using an X-Acto knife and like taking out pieces of plastic, meticulously putting them together, and then a lot of people will tune out.
Yeah. Agree. Okay, well, all in. I'm pretty excited for this thing because it's new. It's airing very soon, and it's something they've never really tried before. So I have high hopes, Isaac.
Well, I'll be cautiously optimistic. Yeah.
All right, that was news item number 1. What is big news item number 2?
Big news item number 2 is a new Gundam Hathaway trailer, Brian. It just dropped. It's coming. UC content is coming. Are you ready?
I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe it.
Brian, you saw the trailer. I saw the trailer. Please tell us what happens in the trailer.
A lot of people talk about stuff and mobile suits fire at each other, which is about everything I want from a Gundam trailer. So I would say that up to this point, I don't know if you agree with this, but it seemed like up to this point all the trailers that they had released had been very coy about the mobile suit action.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't usually shown a whole lot of the Penelope or a whole lot of the Kasi Gundam. But here, they kind of take center stage.
Uh-huh.
And we really got to see them kind of go at it a little bit.
Yeah, and the Penelope looks better than I thought it would, okay? Because as we recall, this series was very 80s, right? And the Penelope, if you've seen actual art of it from the time period, it's got like big shoulders, like this weird kind of chest kind of thing. But it looked pretty great in the short footage we got of it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've always been a big fan of the Kasi and the Penelope designs. I think they're so over the top, but they're so cool at the same time. But that's why I feel like a lot of other Gundam fans have always felt that this show would never be made because those designs are so far removed from like Gundams that we've seen before. Like they make the Unicorn Gundam look not very complicated, and I feel like the Unicorn had all the extra cycle frame bits and it transforms and all this stuff.
Right.
And these guys are just like full on like late 80s, early 90s, just big mech with complicated parts everywhere, and I love it, and I'm super excited that it's going to be in animation finally, and we're going to get some like great models of it too.
Yeah, I mean they might fall over because of the dimensions of Penelope, but yes, they will be available and hopefully a stand as well.
But as far as your question about what happens in the trailer, so we do get the sense that Mafty or Hathaway Noah, as we know him, is sort of disrupting the Federation government's plans or just whatever their agenda is. We've talked about this on previous podcasts, but in this story, Hathaway is a bit upset at all of the corruption. Federation basically forms the Manhunter attachment or the Manhunter group.
Yeah.
And they're hunting down people who they shouldn't be on Earth, Isaac, or something like that.
It's not that, like I think they're Yeah, people that shouldn't be on Earth. I don't know what that means. Like maybe a lot of people in the colonies are managing to get back to Earth at this point in the UC timeline or something like that. But yes, it's very, deportation focused or removing refugees or maybe even whoever the Federation considers undesirables. I would imagine people people that were Titans would be very drawn to be joining the Manhunter attachment.
Yeah, it should be a pipeline. If you were ex-Titan, you just like it rolls over your pension, and like into the Manhunter pension plan.
Exactly, they're lateral transfers.
Yeah, they don't even need to do a whole lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
It's just the same uniform. You just take a patch off and you put the new one on.
It's actually Federation uniforms, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's Federation based. Again, this is the first movie in a trilogy. It's in theaters nationwide in Japan on May 7th. So in about 2-3 months. What are we in now? March? 2 months?
It's March.
A month?
Yeah.
Month and a half? A little over a month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what day it is. But they've probably had this done for a while, Isaac, but they've been, delaying its release due to COVID. And they did say, please wait for further announcements regarding releases outside of Japan. So hopefully, Isaac, once the pandemic is over, maybe we'll get vaccinated and we can go see this in an actual theater here in the United States. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, at least in our state, sunny California, things are somewhat returning to normal. We've taken like one baby step to normal. So going back to the movie theaters and seeing this in May, when hopefully a lot more people are vaccinated, that'd be a great way to celebrate it.
What were your thoughts on the trailer, Isaac?
It very much sort of set the tone, I think. This looks like a very serious type story. I was really surprised to see Quest. Let me start with that. We see a flashback of Hathaway's vision. He's remembering when he and Quest were running in like a field on a colony and back in Char's counterattack. And there's narration by Hathaway, and we see him being roughed up, so we know the Federation is going to be the bad guys in this story. Yeah, they need to break his nose or something, right?
Yeah, it was pretty rough. They shove him into the table.
That's how you get answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree that the tone is really serious. If Gundam Build Real is like a 4th grade book report, this is like a college thesis.
This is the Catcher in the Rye of Gundam or something. But the 1984. Anyways, we didn't see that much combat, so I'm wondering if this is going to be much more of a drama type side story in a way. Yeah, a little mini series. So maybe it'll be much more human focused, and the actual Gundam combat will be sporadic but visually very beautifully animated. Because the animation in this is really crisp. It's like, unicorn level. So I'm really excited for it.
I agree. I got the sense that maybe there won't be too much combat, at least between the Gundams in the first film. I assume they might save some more of that for the second and third films. They do show that one. Again, I have not read the novel. But that one Zeonic-looking suit, they show that a lot. The purple one.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we might see that a lot in the first film.
Vaguely like a Yagd Doga in a way. Well, I don't know. Yagd Doga / Comfer thing. It's got a mono eye. That's all you need to know. I know who I'm rooting for.
The purple one.
Yeah.
The shots of the Cassie and the Penelope that we did see, there was some major beam saber action. Looks gorgeous. I did see some people were saying the CG didn't look good. I don't know. It looked good. It looks okay to me, but we'll see what happens when it comes out.
I thought it meshed very well. The Penelope is like the Nightingale of the Federation.
It is pretty damn big. Yeah. But probably the most surprising thing about the trailer, Isaac, was that Amuro's voice is at the end.
Yeah. I mean, does this mean Hathaway has maybe new type abilities or something? Or he was hearing the consciousness of Amuro? Is it a flashback? A dream, maybe? Because, I mean, Hathaway interacted with Amuro in Char's counterattack, so I don't know.
He did. Yeah, there's a high possibility that it's just part of that flashback that he's seeing from Char's counterattack.
Yeah.
But, never know. Maybe we could see him, through a new type vision or something, consciousness conversation later on in the film. That Char's counterattack flashback was pretty cool to see. It was very jarring to be like, oh, that's what that would look like in modern animation. Did you have that reaction too?
First, I was trying to piece together what I was looking at, and then I realized there's only one person who has that hair, and I realized, oh my god, my enemy has returned. It's Quest Pariah. And then I was like, of course, this has to be a flashback or a dream, or maybe he's even having a nightmare, depending on, how he's dealt with, her death at this point in his life. But yeah, I was surprised to see her back again. Just when you think she's gone, Brian, they just shove her down your throat again.
They just doubled down on their Quest Pariah.
Yeah.
And at the same time as this trailer dropped, I think maybe it was either the same day or maybe a few days later, they did announce that a Hathaway's Flash manga will also be produced by the same person whose name I'm going to butcher, but Uroaki Sabishi, who also did the manga for the Char's Counterattack Beltachika's Children adaptation, which is the one that's going to be licensed in America and coming out in a few years. Or was it 22 or maybe a year from now? I don't know. How about that corporate synergy, Isaac? You release your film adaptation and your manga adaptation at the same time, but boom.
It's pretty awesome because you know what? Fans are going to get both. At least a lot of fans are. It's exactly what we want. And for all we know, there might be a few additional scenes in the manga, or maybe the anime will elaborate on some things you didn't really see in the manga. We don't know. We have to wait. But, I mean, if you're a Gundam fan, there's content coming out on both print and in media, visual media.
Yeah, if nothing else, we get some cool manga covers. Any additional art of the Penelope and the Sea Gundam is always a good thing in my book. So, the new trailer is on YouTube. If you just search, Gundam Hathaway trailer, it's probably one of the more recent search results. All right, so the other things we're going to talk about on this episode are a few cool things that are recent that I think everyone should know about because they're either fun or hilarious. And I would call this one hilarious, Isaac, because you know what you can buy? Have you ever thought to yourself, I really like Char Aznavour, and I wish I could dress up as Char, but I just don't have his helmet. So what if I told you that you could buy a life-size replica of Char Aznavour's helmet? Would you buy it?
As the listeners well know, Char Aznavour is a traitor to the Principality of Zeon. So therefore, owning his helmet would only be something I'd want to do. Also his goggles, I should say, because you also get his goggles. Owning his helmet and goggles would only be something I do after destroying him in combat. That'd be like my trophy after my custom Dom destroys whatever suit he's in and avenges the zombie family.
So you would buy the helmet to put it in your house as a trophy and say, I killed Char Aznavour and I took his helmet.
Maybe, but I'd go a little step further. I'd maybe battle wear it, get some paint out, get an airbrush out, and make it look like make it look like it was through a bit of an explosion. It's a little singed, maybe a few specks of blood on it, something like that. And you'd be like, oh yeah, I got that at Bawaku. I killed Char Aznavour. All these people saying they're Char, they were really not him. I killed the real one.
Took him down. Yeah. This is his helmet. So you can buy a life-size replica of his Stahlhelm helmet. It's available for pre-order on all the major collectible sites. I'm looking at the price on Big Bad Toy Store, which is a pretty big U.S. Retailer. You can probably get it a little cheaper if you buy it from a Japanese retailer. You just have to deal with the shipping. But it apparently is scheduled to come out in August of 2021, so about 4 or 5 months from now. It's made by Mega House, who makes really good figures, in my opinion, or very detailed figures. Their stuff is expensive, and this one is no exception. The dollar price I'm looking at is $365. That's pretty steep, Isaac.
Yeah, and also this listing does not say that it's wearable. I thought that was interesting. It says it's the life-size replica. I assume you could wear it. But, they're not saying it's wearable per se outright.
Right.
Also, I have to wonder, for budget-conscious friends, you might look around on, Etsy or something, and you might be able to find a, shall we say, a more economical price model for your cosplay needs. Just a thought. You're essentially getting a console. Right?
This is high end, okay, people? This is if you really wanted the really expensive, Captain America shield, or the really expensive Thor hammer, or the Batarang, or something.
The Master Sword, something.
Yeah, then from Master Chief's gun or something like that. This is the Gundam high-end equivalent, like prop replica, as those kind of things. So Char's helmet, it's out there. I think everyone should at least go look at it because I think it's funny. And I guess if you got a whole bunch of money burning a hole in your pocket, pick one up and send us a picture of you wearing it, because Isaac wants to know if it's wearable. So let us know.
The number of models you could buy with that money it's astounding.
Well, you could buy a lot,
yeah,
or you could buy one master grade Penelope, because it's going to be enormous.
Oh god, but it won't be 364. It better not be.
Maybe after shipping fees, because they're going to have to send that thing over here from Japan.
When you combine the stand cost with the model cost, it's 364.
So to give you a sense of scale, Isaac, Char's helmet is about a foot long. So it is a big helmet, people.
Well, the man did have a big head. Zing!
Got him.
He's an egoist.
What if this is the start of like a helmet collection? Like, what if they sell Char's helmet and then they come out with Rao's get up or Rao's goggles, and then Zex's helmet and goggles, and then Full Frontal's goggles? You could have like the whole Char clone set.
I mean,
it can be yours for 3 easy payments of $1,000.
For $2,000, you can have every helmet in Gundam. I don't know. Like, this is for like the niche helmet fan that's within the Gundam fan verse. So I don't think it's wise, and I hope this isn't the start of like helmet baganza or something like that.
But what if they sold, for example, Gato's flight helmet?
I think flight helmets are different. Like, I think every fan would be down for like a flight helmet, whether it's Federation or Zeon. That'd be pretty cool. I think more people would want that than something that's exclusively Char,
Yeah. Well, this Char one has a lot of cosplay implications, right? I mean, if you're a hardcore Char cosplayer, maybe you're pretty excited about this. But yeah, I agree. I think the flight helmets would be cool. That'd be neat to have it on your shelf somewhere.
I know. I'm going to need one.
And they could sell them for all the different ace pilots. Gato's could have his kill count on them or something, different logos, like the Delaz Fleet logo, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That could be neat.
Definitely. That'd be pretty cool, actually. Maybe you can make your own or something. I don't know. But we're gonna need we're gonna need ours, Brian, when we get our flight suits and helmets when we go to Japan and get into the battle pods for that Gundam battle game.
Yep, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. You know where else you could make your own flight suit and flight helmet would be at our Gundam theme park.
Oh,
which
of course.
Clearly, why didn't we think of that before?
I mean,
but again, we're here, Sunrise. We'll draw you up some plans.
This will be the biggest moneymaker Sunrise has ever had.
Look, if Nintendo World does well, I'm just saying, Gundam World shouldn't be far behind.
If you open in Japan, it'll make money. I can guarantee that.
If you open in America, it probably won't make money.
Yeah, if you open in America, oh boy, we're gonna need a lot of marketing to get feet in that door.
All right, what's merchandise news number 2, Isaac?
Number 2 is really niche. This is for a very unique collector. Just released also at Big Bad Toy Store are Zeon soldier figures. These are essentially action figures, okay? They're a little tall, but they're the foot soldiers from the 1 Year War. If you remember, Zeon had some troops. They've got those green uniforms. They've got their little, their little fascist helmets. And they were kind of the grunts that you occasionally saw with machine guns or whatever doing little foot patrols. They weren't actually in mobile suits, but they were more, security or whatever little detail Zeon had guys with guns doing during the 1 Year War. They're each about $50, but there's different ones you can get. So it's not like, you purchase just one type of Zeonic soldier. There's like a woman, there's a guy with goggles, there's a husky guy, there's like, different faces they can have. There's like a guy that's smoking a cigar. If you're a fan of the Zeon infantry for whatever reason, this is kind of the kit for you, I guess. And they also got like cool gear, like weapons or machine guns and, binoculars, stuff like that.
Yeah, I see some shotguns. Maybe that's like a rocket launcher. Definitely some rifles in there. I just think it's amazing that there's so much Gundam merchandise, right? And I don't think we ever seen figures of just like the soldiers before. I just think this is really neat that they finally made some. Either someone finally realized that this has never been exploited before, and they were like, "This is an untapped market," or they were like, "Well, we made every single mobile suit. We're out of ideas. What else can we do?" It was one of those two.
Yeah, they have like articulating points though. So I'm wondering if we're gonna see Federation troops also, or I don't know. Is this for like the collector of just action figures? I figured, more statuesque action figure collectors, they don't really care too much about the articulating points, or maybe it takes away. They want something that's sort of in like a historical or interesting pose, and that's about it for their display. But these actually have like a lot of articulating parts and stuff like that. So maybe this is for like the fan that plays with their toys. I don't know. Is it for younger fans or something like that? Maybe.
I think action figure collectors, myself being one, they're good for posing, right? If you buy something that's static, that's kind of it, right? You get it and you have one choice of what it looks like. So I think people like the articulation so they can pose it, make big dioramas and stuff. And if I'm looking at this right, it looks like these are, so it says each figure is approximately 10 centimeters in height. So this is more like G.I. Joe size, or I should say classic G.I. Joe size, or like the classic Star Wars figures. That's about how tall these are, which is pretty small for $50, but that's about the price you pay for a Japanese figure, which is much higher quality than what you would get for the same scale typically in America. But the price definitely reflects that. But you can see just from the pictures how high quality these are. I mean, the paint apps look great. Articulation looks pretty excellent for the size. And yeah, there's a lot of accessories on these things. So I think they're pretty unique. If you're a big figure collector and you've always wanted some Zeon grunts, now's the time. Maybe they may never release these things again. To your question about the Federation grunts, yeah, maybe. It does say they're from a series called the Gundam Military Generation series. These three are the first in that series. So if it's a series, I assume they got more coming. So maybe we'll see some Federation, some Titans, et cetera, et cetera.
That'd be pretty cool, actually. Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's like the uniform parade, right? Because we're just looking at goons in different uniforms.
Yeah, these are definitely what figure collectors would call army builders.
Uh-huh.
They come with different faces so that you can buy maybe 3 or 4 of them and give them all different heads, different faces. So it looks like you have a bunch of different grunts that aren't all exactly the same. But, similar things in other series would be like buying a whole bunch of hand ninjas or Hydra soldiers or, things like that if you're talking Marvel, or like foot soldiers if you're talking Ninja Turtles or something like that, right? Where you want a whole bunch of them. But if you can make them each look a little different, then it looks better as a group. So
right.
But this would be a very expensive army to build, Isaac.
Yeah, not to discount any Gundam merch, but this isn't for me. It's not my cup of tea. If you're a big fan of, foot soldier action figures in Gundam, go for it. Get them. You're going to have a blast because these look pretty damn cool. It's just not something that I'll actually be purchasing myself.
All right. And our final new piece of merch that I wanted to mention is a Premium Bandai Master Grade kit, Isaac. We've talked about Premium Bandai a few times before, particularly in our Gunpla episode. Most often just see it abbreviated as P Bandai, like P-Bandai. And what that means is just they always release exclusive or very limited kits only through Premium Bandai or P Bandai. And sometimes it's like a variation of a normal kit they've released. So for example, the Master Grade Gelgoog, right, that's a normal kit that you can buy at most model stores. But for example, they released a newer version of Gato's Gelgoog in Gato colors with a special rifle through Premium Bandai. They didn't release that to the normal stores. So if you want that particular version of the Gelgoog, you had to get it through Premium Bandai, and it's not always available. So they make one run of it, and if you get it at a decent price during that time. But if you wait a year or 2 years, the price just kind of skyrockets. So Premium Bandai did open like a U.S. translated store maybe a year or 2 ago. I don't remember when exactly it started. But now they are offering things through the U.S. store, so it's easier for U.S. Customers to get a hold of this kind of stuff. The one they have on pre-order right now, Isaac, is damn cool. It is the Master Grade Gundam Mark V. It first showed up in the Gundam Sentinel series. It is basically the antagonist Gundam from Gundam Sentinel, which is from, I think I can't remember what years Gundam Sentinel came out. I think it was early 90s, maybe late 80s. There are some great designs though in Gundam Sentinel. It was like a visual novel, I think, in like a model magazine. One day we'll go through Gundam Sentinel and review it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to read Gundam Sentinel. They have some
interesting side story too. Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't really touched the Grips era too much, but one day we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-orders for this are open right now, and they close May 4th. So you still have some time. It's pretty expensive. I think it's about $100. It's coming out in June. How would you describe this suit, Isaac? To me, it looks like an evil blue Gundam with these like cool rocket pods and just an evil-looking face.
I'd say it looks like what was once a heroic Gundam turned evil. It's got this really cool royal blue color scheme, and it's on that list of Gundams that are called Gundams, but their face is not Gundam-like. So it doesn't really have the usual kind of, mouth and white face of a Gundam. This one's all blue. It's got some sinister, squinty eyes. But, yeah, it looks cool. It looks fast. And I would not want to fight a mobile suit that looked like this if I was flying around in my Dom.
When I first saw this, I thought, that's a Gundam that Isaac would build. Is this something you would build, Isaac?
Yeah, definitely. I like how it looks, and I want it in my collection.
Yeah, this thing is evil looking. The chin, to me, it has this very elongated chin. It looks to me like the bad guy who strokes his chin, and like maybe he stroked it too much, and he like elongated his chin because that's all he does.
They gave it a pointy chin, listeners.
Overall, this is a pretty cool design. It does show up in a few other things. Like the lore on it is pretty neat. There were only 3 of these units made. The one that's available for purchase right now in Premium Bandai is the one from Gundam Sentinel. It was piloted by the leader of the New Decides, which is like the antagonist organization in that show, with this very distinct blue and like kind of white striped color scheme. Another one was made, and it was assigned to Karaba. We've talked about Karaba a few times, but Karaba was like the Earth version of the Aeug during the Grips conflict, Grips era. Mm-hmm. And it was intended to be used by Amuro, but apparently there is no record of him ever using it. But that one has like a different head, to Isaac's point, that looks maybe a little more heroic, and it'll obviously have a different color scheme. And I think we've seen that color scheme in maybe some games, and it kind of looks like what you'd expect. It's like white with some purplish kind of stripes instead of being dominantly blue, and with white stripes it's dominantly white with the purplish stripes. So I'm thinking, Isaac, that a few months will go by and they'll release another Premium Bandai order for this, but it'll be the Amuro version to sell some more units, because they make these molds. They definitely want to use it more than once. This is a unique mold here. I don't think they made this to sell it once.
I mean, why not, right? The Amuro one would outsell this one in a heartbeat, just by the fact that it's Amuro's, of course. Yeah. So do it. I mean, people would buy both.
Yeah, probably. I mean, look, if you love like the S Gundam, the XS Gundam, those have had master grades for years, and you've never had a Gundam Mark V to put next to it to fight. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the climactic battle in Gundam Sentinel, is the XS versus the Gundam Mark V. And here it is. It's probably 10 years later from your master grade XS, but I know there's a lot of fans out there for Gundam Sentinel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and now is your chance to order this thing, because once it goes off Premium Bandai, it's probably going to be pretty expensive. So if you have the $100 and you really love Gundam Sentinel, right now, like literally right now for the next month or so, is your chance to get this thing.
Pause the podcast and go to the Bandai website.
I'm just saying, because if you don't buy it now, it's gonna be it's gonna be at collectible shows for $200, guaranteed.
Yeah, you don't want to be one of those people that like has to find this on eBay and they're like charging you like triple the price. You don't want to fight the scalpers.
Yeah, $100 is already a lot for master grade, I would say. Mm-hmm. And if you can pay retail price for this, I'm all for it. So there was a third unit as well, Isaac. It went to Axis Xeon, where it was used to develop the Dovin Wolf from Double Zeta. Now that's obviously a retcon, because the Dovin Wolf was obviously in Double Zeta, and Double Zeta was made before Gundam Sentinel was made. But I think it's a pretty cool way to work it into the lore, because if you look at the Gundam Mark V and you look at the Dovin Wolf, you can clearly see that they are related, particularly in the legs and kind of the arms. The Dovin Wolf has a pretty cool color scheme. I like that one.
For all the good it did Xeon.
The Dovin Wolf then went on to be developed into the Silver Bullet. Showed up in, I think, the last episode of Gundam Unicorn. It was like a Gundam-looking thing that got its ass completely handed to it in a few seconds by the... Can't remember if it was either the Neo Zeong or the Banshee that took it out, but it was on screen for like, a minute. It's kind of neat, but overall thoughts on the Mark V, Isaac? I think it's a cool thing. I think it's rare that we get such a kick-ass design kind of out of nowhere. I would have thought they would have released this a long time ago when they released the Master Grade XS. I don't really get why it's coming out now, but I'll take it.
You know what? We don't get a lot of new things from Gundam Sentinel. We don't get a lot of villainous Gundams, and we don't get a lot of awesome-looking new Gundams that aren't part of an animated series. So this checks a lot of boxes. Please take a look at it. If you like how it looks, make this a Gundam you add to your collection. And I'm not saying that because we get some kind of kickback from Bandai or anything like that. It just looks pretty cool, and there's not going to be a lot of them. So, why not strike while the iron's hot?
Yeah, and if people buy a lot of this, maybe we would get more from Gundam Sentinel or more from that sort of era, which is, I don't want to say it's ignored, but there's definitely less merchandise from that era than there is from, say, the 1 Year War or, this next coming year or 2 or 3, we're going to be inundated with Hathaway's Flash merchandise, which I am all for, by the way. But I don't know, maybe if these things fly off the shelves, they'll be like, oh, maybe we should adapt Gundam Sentinel. That'd be neat.
Why not? Yeah, make it its own series, and then this will be the start of like the side story saga, or the side story era, Brian. They'll just make side story series and then pump out the mobile suits from them, and it'll be great.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Gundam Sentinel is another one of those things, Isaac, that could work great as a 3-episode OVA or very, very limited episode OVA. You don't need a 50-episode series, right?
It's bite size. They clearly show that they're spending budget on things like a Seed redub. Why not just put that money towards like a small series? You get the money from the mobile suits. You get the money from people watching the show. Everybody wins.
All right, everybody. So that was our news update. Those are some cool things happening right now. We thought it was pretty timely. So go check them out. Go check out the 15-second trailer for Gundam Build Real, the new English trailer for Gundam Hathaway, as well as some of these merch things that are pretty neat, particularly the Gundam Mark V.
Yeah, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hail Xeon.